Hello, friends. I have been playing 33 Immortals for about 30 hours now. I am obsessed with this 33-player co-op experience. I thought I'd just walk through the starting dungeon just to give you a sense of what the game is like, maybe answer some questions that you might have, because it took me a while to figure out a lot of this game's mechanics. And to make this starting area a little bit harder, I've got 10 ordeals on, okay? And ordeals are a lot like Heat from Hades, where you can make the game purposefully harder, and by doing so, you get more rewards. So I find that Inferno, which is the starting dungeon, is pretty easy. But again, I've also played the game quite a bit. And right now I'm using the Bow of Hope, which is a starting weapon. And I think that I will maybe go over some of the cooler uses for this weapon as well. As you can already see, I'm shooting, holy arrows. They land on the ground, and when I reload my quiver, I pick them back up, and it deals damage. So the bow is super cool. Obviously, you've got range, which means you get to stay a little more safe as you're contributing to the fight. But you also get pretty decent damage, and you get to move around pretty quickly too. So I am playing by myself, and one of the best things you can do in this game is to just link up with other players, right? I'm sure you can imagine 33-player co-op, like that's just what the game is designed for. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, but if you've got a big group, is that going to compete with your drops? Is that going to compete with, resources you grab? And the answer is no. Everything in this game that an enemy drops is totally unique to you, thank goodness. So you don't have to deal with awkward need or greed situations like, other MMOs or World of Warcraft. You can see that these guys have armor on them. I'm using my heavy attack, and I've got a special weapon perk on my bow that shoots 2 heavy arrows at the same time. Otherwise, you can see I'm kind of doing like a slightly slower, wider range heavy attack, or I'm shooting very quickly with my lights. There's also a third button for everybody. So you've got like your dash, and then you've got 3 weapons. Your quick, your heavy, and then your special. In my case, my special is just, reloading. But obviously, in my case, I also get to deal a little bit of damage as I reload as well. So these purple shrines are really important. They're how you level up. I'm going to upgrade my empathy with the bottom stat, and I'll explain what that does in just a little bit. The other 2 are pretty straightforward, right? Attack and HP. It's interesting because I actually think attack might be one of the least exciting things you can upgrade in this game. That probably sounds very strange. You might be thinking attack, well, if you kill things faster, that means that they're not going to be able to deal damage to you. Obviously, less time on bosses and dungeons. Who doesn't love wasting time? This is all true, and I do think for more experienced players, you can start to pick attack more often. But in my opinion, the single best thing you can do in this game is not die. All right, and I know that that sounds kind of obvious. But it's true, right? Like, for example, we've got 32 players right now in the game. I don't know if that means somebody has died or left. You'll notice in the top left it says chambers open in 3 minutes and 15 seconds. It's counting down. Chambers are when the game really, really starts, right? So there's still a little bit of time for people to join our lobby. And again, people often leave in the middle of it. This is a really nice thing that the developers Thunder Lotus did, because how awful would it be if people instantly, left your queue, I don't know, to link up with friends, or because they accomplished something short that they wanted to do and then ruin it for everybody else. No, you still have opportunities there. And I would love if someone in the comments correct me here, but I'm pretty sure that bosses scale as well based off of the actual number of players that end up joining your game. But again, it is very important to not die. That is just the best thing you can do, especially when you're new. You're figuring out attack patterns. You're not quite sure, what deals what. And every weapon has different characteristics, right? Obviously, in the case of these arrows, I get to play things a little bit more safe. I still have a shield equipped. That is one of my perks that I've got, which are kind of permanent upgrades that you can slowly upgrade even further. In my case, the shield, in my opinion, is one of the best things in the entire game. I've maxed it out to the highest level. I've got 150 HP on it, and it regenerates. Okay, the perk doesn't make that very clear on the menu, but the fact that it regenerates is just insane. So you'll notice that we keep getting lots of bones from these urns. If you look on the map, there are question marks. Well, I guess we've got most of them right now. We can go to the east a little bit and grab a few others, but question marks are really great because, and actually, I guess they show up as you get closer because here's another one. Question marks are typically treasure chests or urns. Yep. In fact, this is actually kind of greedy of me to open it up before we kill everything, but here I am, just being a little bit greedy. All the purple stuff that we pick up, that's dust for our bottom right. And that dust, wow, we stacked both shields. So this perk that I've got with this bubble shield is also the ultimate power, or the co-op, I guess is the actual name for it, from a certain sword class in this game. Don't know the name off the top of my head. It's like Sword of Justice or something. But it also stacks with a secondary shield. In this case, this was someone else's co-op power, which is super cool. I believe it completely invulnerates 3 points of damage. That's what the red number 3 is. And it also deals a little bit of damage, kind of like Red Shell from Mario Kart style. So in this case, we need to have 3 people stand on him. So hopefully this guy notices that. Okay, yep, there we go. We'll steal this blessing. It's a temporary buff. All monsters drop eternal shards. Okay, that's fantastic. That is very, very good. Eternal shards are the purple gems. Not dust, but gems. You'll see them in just a second. Darn, I was hoping I need to link up with the rest of that crew. Because of my debuff ordeals, I deal a lot less damage when I'm not like attacking the same thing somebody else is attacking. That's a mechanic in this game, by the way. They're called co-op strikes. Super, super cool. These co-op strikes can chain for quite a while. It's really useful against bosses. And again, that's just one of the best examples of why not dying is one of the best things you can do in this game. Because even if you haven't actually upgraded your attack stat, even if you're a weapon that's a little slower, that's more of like a support weapon as opposed to like, you know, DPS, damage per second, if you are ganging up on a boss and a single target enemy alongside so many other people, you're just going to deal so much damage, right? Like it's just, you know, law of numbers, right? The more that you all stack with your combo, the crazier things get. Yeah, I do so little damage without a group. Definitely a downside of being on my own. So I've got one warp. Does someone enter already? Did this homie just enter the chamber by himself? Or is he camping? Okay, he's camping. Thank goodness. This is the way... Okay, that person just entered. Well, I guess we're entering now then. I do not like to be the first person to enter a chamber, and that's a huge bit of advice that I would give to anybody here. Let's see if we can grab this co-op power real quick. I need a third person to step on it. Please, please, please. Did we time out well? Nice. So, I'll explain co-op powers in a second. I want to talk about these effigies. So, you'll see in the top left corner it says destroy 1 out of 8 effigies. We've already done 2 right now. That's what these guys are right here, right? Now, you might think to yourself, okay, well, wouldn't it be better to clear the enemies first because enemies can deal damage? We're kind of like sitting ducks if we're, you know, not actually dealing with the mobs. That is true. However, if you do not solve the sub-goal of these torture chambers, enemies will continue to spawn. So even though, yes, you might want to clear some enemies that are in your way and being annoying, look at all that purple stuff. By the way, actually, I mean, let me finish my thought first. So as long as we clear out the sub-goal, enemies won't continue to spawn. And when you clear the sub-goal, then a big... actually, sometimes multiple bigger sub-bosses appear. But you can see the big B right here. An annoying guy for sure. All of these purple gems, by the way, they will always spawn from enemies provided that you've dealt damage to them. So in my case, I've got a weapon perk on my bows. My arrows pierce through enemies, so it's really easy to hit multiple enemies at the same time. And that's massively important for Dust because if an enemy dies without dropping anything, that means that you didn't contribute to the fight or to that particular fight. And the opposite is true as well, right? If it drops dust, that means that you've, you know, tagged it with some amount of damage or whatever. Ooh, I didn't buy a key. That was really dumb of me. All right, so outside these torture chambers, you can see I can buy a key. I'm going to buy another teleport stone. I can even heal. I'm at full health, but if there are people in our party who need a heal, I'm down to be a team player because it does a little AoE heal, which is kind of fun. Anyone need a heal? I don't think so. If they don't show their HP, I think they're fine. So darn, a little too late on that dust, but actually doesn't matter because we're full up on dust anyway. So always a good idea to spend your dust while you can. So the reason why I like to upgrade my empathy is because that affects my co-op power. So did you see that, like, those, that sort of, like, rapid fire, holy arrow, light attack that I did at the start of that torture chamber. So, if you look at my bottom left, you'll see that I've got, I'm like maybe halfway full with this green setup here. Once it's totally full, you can drop runes on the ground, and as long as other players step on those runes, you will trigger your co-op power. Every weapon has a different co-op power. Some are better than others. They're all pretty useful in their own way. A small but kind of fun detail in this game is that of the 12 weapon classes, I'm sorry, of the 8 weapon classes, you've got 2 sinful, one of them is sinful and one of them is like virtuous, right? So like, you know, you think of the 7 deadly sins. You know, one of the staffs in this game, like a magic weapon, is the Staff of Sloth, which is one of the 7 deadly sins. Okay, this holy divine judgment that's happening is because we've solved the first set of torture chambers. Earlier in the match, there were other rays of light that were just like it. That happens because more torture chambers are over. Once you've solved every single torture chamber, all 10 of them, then you progress, right? So this is a big goal. Oh my gosh, people just love to enter quickly. I don't really want to enter with him, but you kind of have to at a certain point, because if he's by himself, he's cooked, right? So again, I don't like to be the first one to enter a chamber because you kind of put everyone else in an awkward position. But, you know, c'est la vie, right? Like, we are in Inferno. This is the easiest dungeon, so it's kind of low risk. It's not really a huge deal. And in fact, you know, you get a lot of newer players in Inferno as well, right? Though, this might surprise you to hear, I run Inferno all the time. Just because it's the easiest dungeon and the starting dungeon doesn't mean it's not useful. The game is really well designed with like sort of long-term quests. They call them feats. There's all sorts of things to unlock that are really helpful, that are based off of like achievements in Inferno as well as the other dungeons as well. In fact, I would argue that in the case of my ordeals, right, being able to stack up these 10 different debuffs that give me extra power-ups, Inferno is like the best place to grind him, right? If I successfully beat this Inferno run without dying, or without fully dying, because you can die once, and maybe that'll happen. You never know. I'm sure we'll see somebody else die and we can resurrect them. If they die twice, they're cooked. They're gone from the party. With an interesting exception. There are boss relics in this game as well that are kind of like big... Ooh. Okay, question, should I... Let's just do it. Why not? It's kind of a bad spot for it. But maybe we can lure over the bat. Okay, actually, we were able to pull aggro on this dude. And actually, that's worth talking about, too. So, you're probably familiar with the concept of, like, a tank in games like this. A tank being, like, you know, a bulkier character, deals a little less damage, but harder to kill. Likes to, you know, kite and bait enemies, taunt them into following him so that your high damage squishy classes can do the job. That's not really a thing in this game, right? Your HP stat is totally irrelevant compared to weapons and things. There are perks you can equip that give you better defensive drops, like obviously my bubble shield. I've got another perk that makes my damage that I take reduced by 20. These relics, by the way, normally you can equip up to 8. One of my debuffs is only having 4 of them. And in fact, you see how this one says fake? I've got a relic that made that fake. How unfortunate. That's just how it is. Let's buy another key. I've got 2 teleport stones. That's probably good enough for the rest of the fight. And I'm actually going to drop a few of my... I'm going to drop a few of mine. This heavy attack triggering a blast, that's not really helpful on an arrow character like me. I don't really care about crits as much. Co-op orbs are great, though. Co-op orbs obviously help you fill up your bottom left gauge a bit better. Okay, see in the top right, so that's like... We've got 2 torture chambers that no one's touched yet. So, it's not a bad idea to head over there. Even though I'd be by myself, other people could warp to me like a beacon. Very, very helpful. Okay, there looks like... Actually, it looks like there's a mini-boss down below, an elite. Why don't we head over there? Let's help kill him. Obviously, warping. Oh, wait, did it just die? It totally just died, didn't it? I love it. Okay. Well, thankfully, I still got a decent amount of bones. What's this crew doing? They're just, like, camping? They're just hanging around? Okay. Sure. Ooh, hold up. This guy wants a... He's emoting. Do you see that? On the map, he's like, assist me. Maybe he's found a secret chamber. There's lots of little secret areas, and it'd be really cool to show you guys what they look like if that is the case. Maybe not. No. This is one of the boss relics on the right, by the way, that eyeball stone. I'll hover over it with my mouse in a little bit. Ooh, these bones are dropping. Our friend must have a co-op power that does that. Ooh, it's a Lucido. Okay, these are rare drops, and there's actually a very underrated perk that lets you track them down, darn. Again, my damage output is really low with all my debuffs. We probably needed a third person there. All right, let's go head over to this torture chamber. And looks like people already made it to the top right. So once you start to get to harder areas, it's a good idea to wait and to let people level up before they do, you know, crazy things. In fact, I would really like to level up while I can, but if I do that, I'm not going to be able to enter this torture chamber. That's okay. Again, Inferno is pretty easy. I'm not really too worried. As you can see, I've never even taken damage, right? Like, I've taken shield damage, but because it's 150, and because I've got a relic, a perk that helps me reduce damage, I'm not too concerned. And it looks like the sub-goal here is just defeat all enemies. Pretty straightforward. We're going to continue to do our heavy shots to pierce the armor. Really love how much work we do in big mobs like this. Again, if I were empty on dust, I'd be really thrilled because this would be such a great time to level up yet again. This being a roguelike, you know, my level ups aren't permanent. That's all, you know, all those options are... Ooh, should we go grab that? Nice. That's my own co-op power. I mean, it's not... I didn't do it, but we have the same weapon, right? All right, this dude having his armor down means we should go ahead and keep smacking him. Beautiful. This dude's armored, so we're going to keep doing our heavy bows. Kind of fun that, like, if you're point blank like this, you can hit him with both arrows. Not that you necessarily need to be point blank as an archer, but, you know, kind of fun. I'm going to hold on to my co-op power because we're very close to killing this last boss. And you'll notice that this is the last shrine. Or actually, I guess there's one more shrine, but people are already in it, so it won't take too long for them to finish. Ooh! Can we heal this guy? Let's resurrect our friend, Boxy Boy. So you can see he's got this spirit on him. He's got a 30-second timer. That's obviously the amount of time he has before he bites the dust. We bought a key, which is great. You should always buy a key if you can. Sometimes you find them from urns. But in my case, it's really nice to buy them because you'll notice that you actually just get bones from relics. Oh god, okay, we did timeout as such, where we beat all those chambers. The last bit of Holy Divine Judgment. Oh gosh. Thankfully, it doesn't take any time to leave and enter, you know, unlike... oh, I just lost... Look at that. I went to my map and I completely lost my shield because I've got a perk that takes double damage from Divine Judgment. So there's 3 big arrows on the map, right? There's the west, the east, and the north. Obviously, players can sort of pick whichever one they want. You've got to beat at least one of them to progress to the final area, which is a boss. Very important that you do that. And I'm going to hang out by the edges here because I want to show you something kind of funny. There's another reason why you need to be in these big arrow areas, okay? It's hugely important. And again, if I had a little bit more time, I could have leveled up at a shrine. So be it. Again, if you were... I don't really mind on Inferno, but if this were Purgatory or Paradiso, I'd be a little annoyed because... those bosses are definitely trickier, and you want to level up as much as you can. Oh, and speaking of level up, I don't think I mentioned either. So that's, okay, this is why you need to be in these stars, because the entire map, Fortnite style, just sort of coalesces. Ooh, I look at that, and I got someone else's bubble shield. Not as good as my own, right? Mine was 151. Actually, 31 is kind of weak for a bubble shield. So remember how I was leveling up empathy? So not only does that make my co-op power, which let's use right now, not only does it make mine stronger, but you know how it takes 3 people to step on it? So it combines every single person's empathy stats to deal damage or increase the duration. So by increasing my empathy, not only am I making my own co-op power stronger, but I'm like I'm genuinely... Wait, where's the last enemy? Where is it? I don't see it. The heck? Oh, it went outside of the holy area. Weird. All right, let's do another empathy, because that's fun. And I'm going to use my teleport stone over here. Not only is it nice to help out our friends, obviously, you know, the more that we kill, the less we need to worry about... Oh, come on. No one grabbed that? Okay, we did grab it. Nice. But we get another boss relic. See how now we've got that sort of second relic that's like a bloody 2 stones sort of look. We had the eyeball one earlier. When we beat this, we will have another. And it looks like there's nobody on the west side. So I'm not going to worry about... not going to worry about that one. But in theory, if there were people there, we could warp on over, and we could get a third boss relic. I guess a 4th total, but a 3rd from all the ascensions. Actually took a decent amount of damage there. A little scary. Again, never a bad idea to level up your HP either, you know? So real quick, I think the game will explain what all of these relics are. And look, I actually could descend, funny enough. This is a special skill that you can unlock in the game. Looks like we're good, though. We don't need to worry about descending. It's a special skill where you can, like... After you ascend, you can warp back down to help your friends. It costs more than a teleport stone. So if you've already got a teleport stone, you may as well use it. In fact, I guess there's no use for teleport stones after ascension, so... You definitely should use it if you've got one. But if you run out of teleport stones, if you never have an opportunity to buy more, but you've got some bones to spare, you can go for that. In fact... Right before we fight this boss, I'm going to level up my perks real quick. I'm sorry, my relics. There's so many words in this game. Actually, no, I got 142 bones. I cannot afford to upgrade any of them. I need 8 more bones. And the only way I'm getting them in the boss fight is if someone uses their... there's a dagger class, my personal favorite weapon class. His co-op power makes it so when you attack enemies, you drop bones. That's going to be the only way to upgrade my, my relic. Not really necessary, especially this late in the game. But once things get harder, you can imagine a world where you've got, you know, a build that's really helpful, and so therefore you're looking for different kinds of relics. So I should probably be backing off even further because, you know, you'll see he does attacks like that, and I'm just a little bit out of his range. Again, it's so useful to get your co-op skill going. So you'll see the boss has... He's got chains attached to him, right? So you actually can still damage him. When I was a new player, I thought that that meant he took absolutely 0 damage. However, you know, he just reduces the damage, right? So right now, his damage is reduced by 60. You could still attack him if you wanted to. It's better to deal with his gimmicks, though, because bosses in this game, if you don't deal with their little mini puzzles, they will deal an unavoidable big attack that deals a lot of damage. And in my case, because of my ordeals, I will likely die from it. So, always a good idea to, what's that? Oh, that was the bone one. That was the bone setup there. Oh, I forgot to say this earlier. So remember how I was talking about how there's virtues and there's sins? So, the virtuous classes like myself, I'm the Bow of Hope. They require 3 people to step on. So harder to pull off, but stronger if you can, you know, pull it off. And in fact, that means you've also got 3 players worth of empathy to draw upon, so they get way stronger. But I will say, 3 people sometimes is a tall ask, right? I tend to prefer the greedy, the sinful classes being 2 players, because 2 is very easy to pull off. Nice. Okay, this is a good opportunity to drop my holy arrows. Although I put mine kind of in a bad spot. Just a little bit out of the range of the boss. Hopefully enemies will appear. That's one of the fun things of this game. It's like, to what degree no one's going to touch that rune? It's like, you know, there's this really cool push your luck dynamic with these co-op abilities because, you know, having them go off with a bunch of enemies around is high value, but also very risky, right? Like, players don't want to step on a tile that's going to cause them to take damage, or the opposite is true as well, right? Like, if you're in a safe area, that's probably low value because you're not striking many enemies. No? There we go. The game also gives you, like, the game kind of softly encourages you to pick these co-op, to encourage using these co-op powers, because at the end of the game you'll see there's like a Stardust ranking. You don't give that too much worry. It's like an unofficial way, well, I guess it's official, but in my opinion it's an unofficial way to determine like who contributed the most. Honestly, as long as you didn't die, you did a good thing. Every bit of damage against the final boss is, like, extremely helpful. Too bad. Lost my combo there. Oh, I'm gonna get greedy. I want these purple shards. I think I may have mentioned it earlier, but purple shards give you permanent power-ups. Extremely valuable. Everything you want to upgrade in this game, whether they're weapons, whether they're your perk abilities. Okay, did we all stack on top? Nice. And look, we even got a shield still. It's only 20, but still, I'll take it. These shackles, very important to destroy, because he will definitely cast... You'll see how he's trying to cast Frozen Hate underneath his health bar. He will do a big, unavoidable attack if we're not careful. Okay, we stack our friends. Nice. Another thing to do. Uh-oh. Okay. That was fine. Another funny thing too, right? It's like if I already have a shield, it's weird because like on one hand, I'm kind of taking the shield from someone else who could use it. But sometimes if you're in a desperate situation, you just need someone to hit that slot, right? Like imagine being that poor tank and he's like, I really need this shield to go off, but I can't because I can't find a third person to step on it. So another thing to consider, right? Sometimes it's not actually that bad to step on something you've already got. All right, we're just going to mow him down. All right, and as again, pretty simple. You can see my ordeal limit just increased. Now I can equip 11 out of 12 ordeals. My goal is to get all 12 because you start to get legendary cosmetics from bosses, which I think is super cool. What do we got here? Probably some... Wait, oh, I moved out of the way. I didn't fully open it. New weapon skin, fun stuff. Gotta love the cosmetics. And just for fun, I'll show you what these boss relics were. So, when a boss loses one full health bar... Whoa, that's massively good. That's extremely good. Wow. Even just a 10% heal is great. All bosses increase by 100% when the boss... Oh, wow. Okay, so when the boss is at critical, you deal the most damage. Coast strikes deal 50%. So, yeah, just a benefit to more coast strikes. Yeah, we had a lot of, like... No wonder this boss went so quickly. Normally it takes a little longer than that. So yeah, I did okay, again, based off of this unofficial ranking. 111 compared to like 166 at the top. But again, as far as I know, the Stardust doesn't actually equate to anything, because your purple gems are like how you actually get, you know, permanent power-ups. Although it might have to do with bonus shards, to be fair. That might be a thing. Maybe your Stardust has to do with like plus 55 and plus 24. I got plus 55 because all the ordeals I've stacked, which is sick. Although plus 24, I'm not sure what that icon is. Maybe someone in the chat knows, or someone in the comments know. But yeah, that's a run of Inferno. This game is awesome. I'll show you a little bit more, just a tiny bit, as a bonus right here, just so you can get a sense of like some of the things you can do outside of the game. So these are my dailies. Part of the reason I chose the Bow of Hope is to get my extra purple gems over here, and these are perks. These come from Dante. All of the perks you find are random, by the way. So sometimes you're just going to have to do with whatever you find. But I love these four. Shield of 150, as you saw, extremely valuable. I like an increased chance of finding rare and epic relics. That's pretty nice. Haven't fully upgraded it, but I'm close to it. Imperial Deceptiveness, 20 damage reduction. Again, if you're not dying, you're doing good work. And I love this one. Starting with extra bones and finding more bones. It wasn't super apparent in this run, because again, Inferno is pretty easy even with all my ordeals, but buying teleport stones to assist your friends, healing people that are really low on life, including yourself. And also, you can resurrect people in a party. If you're playing in a party, I was by myself there, but you can imagine this game gets a lot more fun when you're on co-op, voice chat with your friends. You don't even need to be on voice chat, though. The cool thing about 33 Immortals is that the core gameplay is simple enough that, like, you know what to do, right? Like, hang out in groups, open up chests, right? Enter torture chambers, right? Don't die, don't get hit, right? Like, these are pretty simple, straightforward. You don't necessarily need to be the tactician calling and commanding everyone what to do, although for Paradiso, the third dungeon might not be a bad thing to do. So again, I got a bunch of perks over here, although in this case it was just a little cosmetic. If I get 100 more, 120 to 220, I'll level up my HP a bit more, which is very nice. And yeah, I don't know what I'm going to get from this. I got a Robe of Rebellion. Cool, maybe I'll slap it on. Oh no, and I got a little kitty. Very nice. Award of Devotion. I'm clearly devoted to this game. I'm telling you, gang, check it out. I'm going to be making a ton of shorts about it. I'm going to do tier lists, ranking all the relics. I think this game is so fun. It's only $10, and it's free on Game Pass if you've got Game Pass. I think this game is so freaking good. It's also by the same team that did Spiritfarer, if you enjoyed Spiritfarer, the indie game. I've actually haven't played it myself. That is on my short list, of course. But yeah, check it out, you guys. It is a fantastic game. Scoutmaster Demi. I'll catch you at the next 33 Immortals.